Hi, good evening. As you mentioned,
Quiet down, please.
my name is Peter O'Reilly, and interestingly enough, I am the son of a retired special ed teacher. And the reason I bring that up is a couple months ago, I had talked about special ed enrollment in Jersey City and noticed how there was a sharp decrease in enrollment. And we had a side discussion on that and realized that the numbers were off a little bit, but I went back and revisited the enrollment figures for special education within the school district. And while my original numbers were off a little bit with the enrollment, there is a pretty sharp year-over-year decrease in enrollment in special education. But what I found to be even more alarming is the amount of time that special ed students are spending in general education classes, or rather, I should say, how little time that they're spending in special education classes. And the data that I have, that I will show you after I'm done speaking, will reflect that fact that there's been quite a big shift in enrollments in the special education numbers. And I had inquired with Dr. Nino as well as Mr. Lanigan as to why that was so. And to be honest, I never got a response back as to why that is in fact the case. And if I were to be a little bit cynical in my thinking, I would think that's reflective of, one indication of the fallout with budget cuts that had occurred last year. I don't have the numbers for the current school year, the enrollment numbers, but when they do become available, I'd be more than curious to know what those enrollment numbers are. But what I'm seeing for the prior school year is pretty alarming in terms of the shift in enrollment numbers. A lot of special ed students who in the past had spent quite a deal of time in general education classes with the inclusion program are now spending a predominant amount of their time in traditional special education. So I would like to ask Dr. Epps if he had any insight into why that is the case.
The declining numbers?
No, not the declining numbers, but the shift in enrollment, right? The state reporting, I'm going by what's reported by the state, and I looked at our school district.
I think Mr. Lanigan can answer your question because we were just looking at each other.
Okay.
The numbers haven't really, well, your roll numbers have declined, that's absolutely true. But as far as the special ed numbers, that's not true. Bill, would you just sort of answer that?
Mr. Riley?
It's not on, the mic.
Thank you. Mr. Riley, there's two issues. First issue was that you had originally cited the special ed population as 1,700, and I explained to you that the population was 3,900. And that was strictly as a product of you had collated information from other areas, and when you put it together, it misrepresented the amount of students. That's the first issue. The second issue is you had another chart. I don't know where the chart came from, but the information on the chart misled you in your summary of this.
Excuse me.
Without having the chart in front of me, I believe the issue is that when the children who were in pull-out resource rooms in this district, when they were pulled out for language arts and math in the elementary grades, they were pulled out for approximately 45 minutes for a session. When the state and the district went to a higher number of minutes for language arts and math, they went to 90-minute sessions in language arts and 90 minutes in math. The children who were pulled out automatically fell into a different category. So though they still had IEPs that said pull out language arts and pull out for math, 2 years ago when they were pulled out for language arts or math, they were pulled out for 45-minute sessions. Now they're pulled out to the same direction under the IEP, and it turns into a 90-minute pullout.
I don't want.
That changed the
Bill,
formula.
we can give him a full lesson, and maybe we want to do that as a sidebar, because I really think if you'd like to sit down with Mr. Lanigan or Dr. Christinino, they can really explain it to you much better than I'll ever be able to explain it to you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I did reach out to him. I just never
Well,
got a response until
Tonight,
tonight.
he'll give you an appointment, and we can make that happen.
To the chair, that's why we have a special ed committee meetings. So these things can be brought up. You could provide Pat, who is the chair of that committee, with this information so it can be discussed.
I understand that, but not every committee meeting is offered at a time that's accessible by the working public. So I would gladly attend that committee meeting if it was accessible, if it was at a reasonable time.
You have an open door to speak to Mr. Lanigan, make the appointment.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Chair,
Thank you, Mr. O'Reilly.
I just want to point out, since we're pointing things out, this is the third month he's come and asked for this information, so we really need to get things resolved and finished. Okay? I understand there's a discrepancy, but, you know, you've been coming since, this is about the third or fourth month, so.
Hopefully you want to come again. Thank you. Dawn Niels.